Assalamu alaikum Julia students. Today I am going to present my fifth online lecture, and today's topic is about cleavage. So we know that all the multiple organisms are actually made from a single cell. We call it zygote, and the zygote itself formed by the fusion of two gametes, or this we call it male and female gametes, or we can say sperm and ova, right? These sperm and ova fuse together, form a zygote. We call it fertilization, and after that this fertilized egg or zygote divided into a number of cells and ultimately form this multicellular organism, right? So actually it is the fun of this mitotic cell division only, and cleavage is just this mitotic cell division which transform this single cell zygote into a multicellular embryonic stage. We call it blastula, right? So cleavage is a series of synchronized mitotic cell division of a fertilized egg that result in the formation of a blastomeres, means daughter cell, and change the single cell zygote into a multicellular embryo, right? We call blastula, right? So this phase, means the cleavage of development, begins with the first mitotic division of the zygote and ends with the formation of blastula, right? Here you can see it's a zygote. For example, what happened here? It simply divided into two cells, right? Here first and second cell, and ultimately this cell further divided into four cells, and the four cell formed eight cell, right? Eight cell, and after that it formed a mass of cell. Here we call it morula, right? And after that this morula change into another embryonic stage. We call it blastula, right? And how it is formed, how this single cell formed this multicellular embryonic stage, is because of simply mitotic cell division, and here we call cleavage. The difference between mitotic cell division and the cleavage is that here the size of the cell is decreasing after every cleavage, right? At the first, these cells remain closely associated, right? You can see here these all cells are closely associated together, right, up to morula stage, and finally they form a lining of a hollow sphere. We call it blastula. You can see finally after that this transform into a hollow ball like structure. We call it blastula, right? And then next is type of cleavage, the types of cleavage, right? We know that this formation of cleavage or this cell division is not same in all the animal groups. It varies from one animal group to another animal group. Or the cleavage furrow which is formed during the cell division is not similar in all the organisms, okay, in all the in all type of cell division, okay. It varies from one cell division to another cell division, or you can say one cleavage to another cleavage, right? And on the basis of this we have various type of cleavage, and today we will discuss on the basis of the plane of formation of cleavage furrow, right? It's the following four types. First is meridional cleavage, second one is vertical cleavage, third one is equatorial cleavage, and fourth one is latitudinal cleavage, right? And before we are going to discuss about all this type, we should know some basic about this cleavage itself. During the cell division, the first nuclear division takes place. It divided into two nucleus, right? After that a depression like structure is formed on the surface of this cell from the both side, right? We call it cleavage furrow, okay. And ultimately this cleavage furrow grown towards the center, and finally they divide the cell into two cells, right? Now in cleavage, the daughter cells are called blastomeres. Okay, here we formed two blastomere, right? And the formation of this cleavage furrow is not similar or not same in all type of cell division. So we should know about the plane of the zygote itself. So we know that the side of the egg, which is having the which having the yolk, we know that vegetal pole. Okay, and the opposite of the vegetal pole is known as animal pole, right? And there's this imaginary line between this pole is known as, we call it animal pole vegetal pole axis, right? Animal vegetal pole axis is here, right? So this pole divided the whole egg into left side and right side, you can say. Okay, and there is an imaginary line which bisect this animal pole and vegetal pole from the center. Okay, it is called equator. Okay, equator. This equator divided the whole egg into two parts. One part is toward the animal pole side and another half is toward the vegetal pole side, and the half towards the animal pole side we call it animal hemisphere, right? And the half towards the vegetal pole side we call it vegetal hemisphere, right? And this is very important, right? So now we have understand this cleavage furrow and this axis, animal pole vegetal pole axis and equator, right? So first our first this type of cleavage is meridional type of cleavage, right? We know that this is animal pole vegetal pole axis, right? When this cleavage furrow is formed along this axis, along the animal pole vegetal pole axis, we call it meridional plane of cleavage, right? So you can see here, which results in the formation of two daughter cells, two blastomere, and both blastomeres are same size because they are divided from the center itself, right? So obviously these two cells will remain same. The size of the two cells will remain same. Okay, and the example here is first and second cleavage furrow of frog and first cleavage furrow of chick. See, you can see here there is a egg of frog which is simply divided from the center from the animal vegetal pole axis and form two cell stage, and both the cells are similar in size. And of course in the next stage also it is simply divided from the center itself from the animal vegetal pole axis and form four cell, and all the cells are similar in size, right? Second one is vertical plane of cleavage. So here we know that here it is animal vegetal pole axis. When this cleavage furrow is formed on either side of this animal pole vegetal pole axis, right? You can see here either it would be formed on the left side or right side, on the either side of the animal pole vegetal pole axis, right? So when this cleavage furrow is formed on the left side of the animal pole vegetal pole axis, so it forms two types of cell, one small cell and one large cell, and smaller cell we call it macromere and this we call it megamer, right? And of course as the cleavage furrow is form it on the on this left side, the smaller cell will always remain towards the left side. Okay, and on the opposite side we have formed large megamers, right? When this cleavage furrow is formed on the right side, then it's also formed two types of cell, one smaller cell and one large cell. In this case, the cleavage, these macromers or smaller cell will remain towards the right side, because the cleavage furrow is formed on the right side, right? And this type of cleavage is found in chick, Emia calva and Lepidosteus. We know about a chick, and the Emina calva is a fish, and Lepidosteus is also a fish, right? And the third one is equatorial plane of cleavage. Here we know that equator. Okay, so when the cleavage furrow is formed along the equator and divided the cell into two halves, two equal part, animal pole side and vital pole side, right? So when it is formed in the equator, it forms two cells, both the cells are equal in size. So this type of cleavage is found in third cleavage in mammals, right? And the last part is latitudinal plane of cleavage. Here the cleavage furrow is formed either above or below the equatorial line, below the equator, right? So when the cleavage furrow is formed above the equator, it forms two types of cell, one macromere and one megamer, right? And in this case, so the cleavage furrow is formed just towards the animal pole side, and the macromere will remain towards the animal pole side, and the large cell will remain towards the vital pole side. So when it is formed just below the equator, it's also formed two types of cell, the macromere and megamer. Here the macromere will remain towards the vital pole side, and the megamer will remain towards the animal pole side, because this furrow is formed towards the vital pole side, right? So this type of cleavage is found in Amphioxus and frog. So we have discussed all the four types of this cleavage, which were on the basis of the formation of the cleavage furrow. And the next class, and we will discuss the types of egg on the basis of the yolk content inside the egg, inside the ooplasm. Thank you so much.